opening this joint public hearing between the Planning Board, the Economic Development Council at 7:02, November 19th, to consider three zoning initiatives. We'll consider them all in this one open meeting here. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna briefly read the three initiatives that are on the table to be discussed tonight, and then I'm going to give the public an opportunity to speak, and then the boards will decide if they're going to deliberate and vote this evening, or if we're going to continue this. Let's see here. So the first initiative on the docket is to amend section 204.2 C19, the rural residential RC of the zoning ordinance, by removing the tier 1 limitation, so that it reads as follows. 19, marijuana cultivator pursuant to 207.17 amend section 204.2 C, rural residential RC of the zoning ordinance, by adding a new number 21 under subsection C, comma, uses allowed by special permit, that it reads as follows. 200-4.2, rural residential RC, item C, uses permitted by special permit, and this is what we're adding in: marijuana product manufacturing and marijuana retailer as accessory uses to use marijuana cultivator pursuant to 207.17. Amend Appendix A, Table of Uses of the zoning ordinance, by adding the new category. That's the first initiative. Actually, does it make sense, Eric? Would you like to just give a quick rundown of this from the planning department's perspective on sort of the intent behind this and why it's come up?
I would love to. Yes. So, an entity called Higher Yields is interested in locating in Greenfield for a marijuana cultivation facility. They have found a property, 1385 Burniston Road, Window Action, Dome area. The owner is here, and some folks from Higher Yields are here as well. So right now, accessory retail and product manufacturing is not allowed in the RC if you do a marijuana cultivation facility. So you want to add that in as an option to do accessory retail and accessory product manufacturing to their main facility, which will be a marijuana cultivation facility. And the primary thing they want to do is to eliminate the tier 1 limit, which is 5,000 square feet of canopy space for cultivation. We put that in there initially when we established the marijuana ordinance. We put that in the RC district. We're concerned about, but that's a low amount. That's the first level, actually, of tier level for cultivation that's approved by the Cannabis Control Commission. So we're proposing through the landowner. This is an application submitted by the landowner and Emily Seaman of Higher Yields to eliminate that, so they can do a full cultivation facility at 1385 Burniston Road. And the Department of Planning and Development doesn't see any issues with eliminating the tier 1 limit of 5,000 square feet. And we don't see any issues with allowing retail and product manufacturing as accessory uses to the main use of cultivation. Currently in the GI district, retail sales are allowed already as an accessory use to any use in the GI district. So it's already been done in a different district, not relative to marijuana, but just retail in general.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I'm going to run down the next couple initiatives, and then we'll give the public a chance to speak. The next one we're looking at is to amend the zoning ordinance by incorporating low impact LID techniques in the ordinance. The proposed amendments can be viewed at the city's website, greenfieldmass.gov. Eric, do you want to give a quick background on this one as well?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So we put the link on the public hearing notice to directory to the city's website where you could actually view the amendments clearly. If we were to put all that wording in there, it would have been several $1,000s for the legal ad. So we put a link instead. So basically, this is a result of a grant that the Franklin Regional Council of Governments obtained many years ago. Now I think it's 4 years, going on 4 years or more. It was a 319 grant they got from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. It was a stormwater grant, and part 2 of that grant was to partner with a municipality in the region to do amendments to land use regulations to incorporate low impact development. So we met many times through a committee and have the result that you see now is our proposed amendments to incorporate LID throughout the zoning ordinance in many sections. Let me just back up and kind of tell everyone what low impact development is first. So if you don't have an understanding of what that is, it's a engineering and planning technique that uses natural features to manage stormwater and drainage off a site. Instead of concrete pipes, you would use the natural features of the landscape to accomplish the same goal to manage stormwater. So there's less infrastructure, there's less asphalt, less concrete in the world, and it uses natural features like grass swales, which we think is a good thing. So that's a basic definition of low impact development. So this grant, we worked with the committee and we made many amendments. The engineering division of the DPW reviewed all these, made some minor changes. They agree with everything other than the minor changes they made. The minor changes are incorporated into the proposed amendments before the city council and before the board. So that's just a general rundown. I can answer specifics on each amendment that's being proposed, but that's just a general outline where we got to be where we are today.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna mute everybody. So when you want to speak, you're gonna have to unmute yourself, okay? Mute all. Okay. Except me. I'm not muted, am I? Okay, good. All right. Thanks, Eric. Let's see. Did Eric, that sort of completed your introduction to low impact development, I believe, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so moving on to the third initiative we're going to be considering tonight is to amend section 204.13 of the floodplain district F of the zoning ordinance. Proposed amendments can be viewed at the city's website, greenfieldmass.gov. And Eric, you just want to give the quick lowdown on this one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So back in April of 2020, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, did what's called a community assistance visit. All communities that are part of the National Flood Insurance Program get a community assistance visit once every 5 years by FEMA. In the state of Massachusetts, they use the Department of Conservation and Recreation to do that. Staff from that office does the actual community assistance visit. We did it virtually because of COVID, and we got a good grade. Everything worked out great. We're following the program and doing everything. The purpose of a community assistance visit is to make sure that every community is not doing development within the 100-year floodplain, otherwise known as the special flood hazard area. So they review our building permits that are issued throughout the last 5 years. They review our regulations and they see how we're doing stuff in the floodplain or not doing stuff. So this community assistance visit resulted in some requirements for us to amend our floodplain district to be in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. Fortunately, they came out with a 2020 model bylaw ordinance for the Massachusetts communities to use. And that came out fairly recently, I think at the end of the summer. So we use that to amend our floodplain district. And all the amendments that are being proposed are required amendments. We have to put this in to be in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program.
Okay, thank you. So I think hopefully that gives everybody, you know, a good understanding, you know, on both members of the boards and the public who are here, sort of the basic background behind these initiatives. I think at this time, if anybody would like to, from the public, would like to speak, if you just sign up through the chat box, if you just type in your name and your address, and if you're not from Greenfield, what town you are from, and I'll call the names out in order as they appear in my chat box here.
And Chuck, can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
I think I need to open the public hearing from the EDC side.
Oh, sorry.
So I will open our public hearing at 7:13 for the 3 aforementioned zoning amendments.
Okay.
I think that's all I need to do.
Okay. Yep. Sorry about that.
No problem. Kathy tells me that's the way we do it.
No, I just barreled ahead. Okay, so first up, Emily Seelman, 1385 Classic Court, Charleston, South Carolina, from the Higher Yields Consulting. I think you have. Did you unmute yourself, Emily?
I did.
Okay.
First of all, thank you all for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm not the Emily you thought I was.
That's okay.
But, I hope to fill her shoes tonight. I am from Higher Yields Consulting. John Valdez, he may have hopped off because he was having some audio issues, but he's hopping back in here soon. And we're working with Jeffrey Colson, who's the owner of the 1385 Bernardston property. So we are the ones requesting the 2 ordinance changes, one being to request that retail and manufacturing as accessory uses to cultivation, and removing the cap on the tier limits to the cultivation facility, the canopy space. I just want to, first of all, again, thank you for your time and consideration of this. Our purpose in working with Jeff is to take over his property. He's run I think there's some feedback from someone.
Yeah, Emily, I'm gonna mute everybody, so you're gonna have to unmute yourself again.
Okay, here we go. So Jeffrey Colson is looking to, and Jeff, if you want to chime in, I'm not sure if you put your name in the chat, but Jeff has been really great working with you so far. He's looking to sell his property. He's run a successful sporting event location at his facility. It's been something that I think it's been a real pleasure for him to run that, but he's looking to, retire and partake in the fruits of all of his labor for the last, decades in this. And we linked up with him through John Valdez, who does some property management things and initiatives. And we saw an opportunity to build a fully vertical operation for cannabis in Massachusetts. And our background, just by way of example, we're in the cannabis industry across the country, and we've also done some work in other countries as well, but mainly in the United States. And I'm actually from the Midwest or East Coast, Pennsylvania. So I kind of, my roots are up in that area, and I thought it was a really unique opportunity to work with Jeff and try to establish some roots there. We help people apply for licenses and build out their facilities and run their facilities all over the country. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to do the same thing for ourselves, because we know how to run a facility well and make sure it remains in compliance. I'm a civil litigator by trade, so compliance is like my thing. But when we met up with Jeff and we saw his property, we really saw a great opportunity to run a facility through economies of scale. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with the cannabis industry, but the challenge with operating in a very limited cultivation facility is that our margins severely decrease. And when you're talking about some tax issues like 280E, where we can't get the deductions that normal companies can, it's really important to try to maximize our output and produce everything in-house so that we can sell in-house, produce what we have grown. And so eliminating the tier would allow us to grow more, produce more, and then sell more, all from the same facilities. under the same regulatory constructs that we put together rather than outsourcing it to another facility in another area. And it keeps the impact, the economic benefits, the tax benefits within the city of Greenfield. So that's our purpose in trying to maximize our output at the facility. So requesting that retail and manufacturing or accessory uses to cultivation is just kind of a natural byproduct of what we're looking to do here, because as a vertically integrated operation, we want to be able to use all three license types at the same facility. It increases our ability to keep the facility secure without having to transport it to different areas in the state. It keeps, again, our ability to manage production better, manage our margins, and see the economic impacts remain in Greenfield. So we can hire from Greenfield, we can benefit the area a little bit better than we could if we had to locate across the state or locate in a different area. So that's kind of the outline of kind of what I wanted to just introduce as to why we're looking to increase this, these two limits. And you know, we are happy to talk more about security issues or odor mitigation issues, anything like that, that tends to be a subject of focus on a local level, rightly so. We design really compliant security plans and ensure that everything is tight and everything is accounted for from the time a plant is rooted to the time that it is sold, and every step in between. We understand everything we would need to do as far as fencing, everything like that. And what's unique about Jeff's property is that he's already got this dome facility set up that is perfect for a greenhouse facility because he's already got the foundation set. And so it would actually help us save in costs in build out, and we could set up our framework based on the cement pad of his dome, which was an indoor batting facility and golfing facility and things like that. So it's actually set up really nicely to be a tier that's much larger than a tier 1. So if we can remove that cap, it actually helps us become far more productive and utilize the full space to its entirety rather than paying for the energy bills to fill the whole room, but only working in a small corner. And I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
No, I think we're just going to take, does anybody have any questions from at this point? Or I'm tempted just to sort of move through the public comment.
Okay.
At this point. And then maybe if we choose to deliberate, we could come back and ask you some questions then. But thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, Nancy Hazard. I know you live on Garfield, I'm forgetting Spring Terrace. I've got the name of my own street, but I don't know your house number. So Nancy, I think Nancy, you're muted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to support the work that you're doing with the low impact development, and I was involved in 2016 with Eric and FERCOG working on this project, and I've learned a lot since we worked on this project, and so now it feels even more important to me than it did then. At that time we were focusing on the stormwater management, as Eric mentioned. But I also want to say that it's a fabulous nature-based solutions for climate change issues and also habitat issues. I've just learned a huge amount about the value of trees in terms of supporting our insects, particularly moths and the butterflies that lay their eggs on trees. And those caterpillars that are on those trees become the food for birds and stuff. So I recently listened to a webinar about how caterpillars are really a keystone species. Who would know? So anyway, just wanted to say that, and thank you for your work and for moving this forward.
Thank you, Nancy. Let's see, Jeff Coulson.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted now.
Okay, good. Could you state your address, please?
I can. I am the owner of Indoor Action and working with Higher Yields. My address is 54 Wood Avenue in Gill. That's where I live. but my business is in Greenfield.
Okay.
And I just would like to say that I've been working with higher yields, and it's, to me, at this point in time, it's a great opportunity. I appreciate the council taking a look at this. I think after being there for 25 years and considering everything that's going on at this point for a sports facility, this is an opportunity to really make a transition and keep the property viable and ongoing for years to come. As we all know, with the COVID, sports has taken an incredible nosedive. The guidelines of the state have essentially decreased my business by about 85% at this point. So it's been a real boon to be working with Higher Yields. They're incredibly professional. I've enjoyed working with them, and I'm hoping the city council will really take this and be able to vote for the zoning change. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the property.
Okay, great. Again, I think we'll, if any of the members of the boards have questions, we'll take the opportunity to circle back once folks have spoken. So thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Margot Jones.
Hello, hi. I'm a member of the Greenfield Tree Committee, and we're very excited about the LID amendment. We support it 100% because you've increased the required number of trees planted in parking lots. You've widened the tree belt. You've said that you prefer native species and refer to the Greenfield list of trees that is planted. So generally, we're overwhelmingly enthusiastically in favor, as Nancy said, of this amendment. I think if Mary's on the meeting, she had a few little tweaks that we wondered if we could make a friendly amendment.
Yeah, sure, Margot. And just for the record, could you state your address, please?
Okay, I'm Margot Jones, 28 Chestnut Hill in Greenfield.
Yeah, thank you. And then Mary Chick, when I saw that, I think I might have passed over you. I apologize if I did in the chat box.
I think you might
Trial
have.
version.
Go, Mary.
Trial version.
Mary, are you muted? You have to unmute.
Okay, Mary.
Trial version.
I can speak to those friendly amendments. Do you want me to read them?
Trial version.
It sounds like Mary just has a trial version or something.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Sorry.
Trial version.
Okay, well, to fill the gap so you don't spend any more time.
Trial version.
Mary, I probably have a trial version, but it seems to be working. Anyway, on page 2.
Trial version.
Where you say where soil conditions allow, we would like to change that to where there are well-draining soils. Because we're afraid that some developers might say, oh, we have bad soil, we can't plant native trees. You can't plant the trees you want. And amend subsection D to include, quote, to reduce the heat island effect. And then next, replace vegetation planted within stormwater management features with trees and shrubs planted within stormwater management features. The rationale is that otherwise the planting of grass or other plants will count towards the minimum number of trees and shrubs. And we want to be sure that you get the minimum number. We've submitted this letter. It could be included. There's only a few more. It says that replace. It says currently 3-inch diameter caliper at a point 6 inches above the ground where you're measuring trees, and that's not the industry standard. The industry standard is a 3-inch 3-inch diameter caliper at a point 4.5 feet above the ground. So that makes a big difference because of the flare of a tree. You could get a 3-inch tree that's really a 2-inch tree by industry standards. And then the last thing is on page 2 is add the words, quote, 10-foot landscape buffer strip, including shade trees. Change that to, quote, 10-foot landscape buffer strip, including shade trees from the large approved trees. That may sound technical, but we think in parking lots, it's very important to have tall trees that create decent amount of shade. Shall I keep going, Chuck?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is helpful. I mean, I don't know if other people I don't know if folks on the EDC got a chance to see this memo or not, but I think.
Oh, I don't think we sent it to them unless Eric did. I'm sorry. And I credit Mary C., the chair of our Greenfield Tree Committee, totally with these little details that she saw. Again, on page 3, the industry standard should be used. Instead of 3-inch caliper at a point 6 inches above the ground, it should say 3-inch diameter caliper at a point 4.5 feet above ground. And replace on the approved tree species list of Chapter 400 of the Greenfield Code. Large canopy trees are preferred for internal landscaping to provide maximum shading, unquote. Change that to, quote, all shade trees must be listed under large trees, 40 to 80 foot category of the approved tree species of list of Chapter 400 of the Greenfield Code. Large canopy trees are required for internal landscaping to provide maximum shading, period, unquote. And one last one, please, on that page, please replace preservation of existing trees is desirable and may be substituted for planting trees with preservation of existing trees must be prioritized and may be substituted for planted trees, period. So those are our small recommendations for change.
Okay, thank you.
And they are totally consistent with the intent of the bylaw change, amendment change, whatever.
Okay. Thanks, Margot. Has anyone else signed in here? It looks like everybody's spoken who signed up. Is that, am I missing anyone? Pop your hand up.
Ginny DeSorger had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ginny.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was very well read and thought out. Could you, Margot, I just wondered, could you just read that first one again about the soil, please? If you could just read that one more time, please. And thank you.
Margot, you're muted.
All right. Okay. It's our first item. Replace, quote, where soil conditions allow, unquote, with, quote, where there are well draining soils, unquote.
Thank you.
And that basically is sort of addressing that's the more specific sort of determining factor as to whether or not soils are able to support trees is how well they drain, correct? Is that right? The idea?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is the end of public comment. I guess at this point, Councillor Dolan, your board could deliberate, or you could choose to close your hearing. Is that right?
Yes, my plan was to adjourn at this point. We have another meeting on the 8th where we can deliberate over these things, and I would appreciate actually having a copy of those edits from either Mary or Margot in advance of that meeting, But
Yeah,
I think that's, if the committee is amenable to that, I would recommend that we adjourn
Okay.
and do our deliberations, let you do your deliberations in your board.
Okay. Did you have any follow-up questions for either Jeff or Emily after their presentations? Or
I had
I
a
don't have
question.
any.
I had a question
Yeah.
for Emily. Emily, is she still here?
Yes.
Emily's here.
Yes. So I was interested, you're planning to take down the bubble and replace it with greenhouses? Is that right?
Yes, so the way that the dome it sits, it's on a cement pad and it's irrigated underneath. So the dome wouldn't be safe enough to have and it wouldn't support energy wise or lighting wise. It wouldn't support the growth of cannabis.
It's not
So
transparent.
what's that?
It doesn't let the light in, right?
We would have to supplement with a lot of lighting, yes. What's nice about a greenhouse is that we get to use natural sunlight and we can use light deprivation to grow rather than building a full indoor facility. It's just as safe, but it's a lot more energy efficient. It's environmentally friendly, I think, to a greater capacity than an indoor cultivation grow would be. So to answer your question directly, we would take the dome down, but keep the base foundation that's already there because it's strong.
And you'd put parking area in for the customers?
We would put parking for the cultivation agents. So they have their own spot, and the production agents or manufacturing agents, and then for the retail facility.
I would urge you to use low impact development on the parking space if you can.
We will definitely. Yeah. We might consult Margot because I liked some of the ideas she had. Really.
It was really the committee's ideas, not mine.
Okay.
We adjourn our part of the meeting.
Oh, did you want to hang around? Do you want us just wait and hear what Rich has to ask, and then?
I have one. I have one question to ask Emily.
Yes, sir.
Are you planning any solar arrays around the development?
Well, so we can, with the greenhouse, and John, you might be better able to answer this question if that's okay, because he's actually our design and build. He's a general contractor by trade and design and build. So that might be a better question for you to answer, John.
Hello, my name is John Valdez. At this point, we're not looking at any solar. It is an option though. Solar is the most efficient for a facility like that, but it is up and coming. It is pushing that direction to be able to produce enough energy though. There are options that are available for the design and build side of that. You know, like Emily was saying, that greenhouse is a great option, energy efficient option. We can still control the lighting with light shades to make sure that we can optimize our plants and our growth. But at this time, the solar is not in the process right now.
So John, you're their contractor?
I'm actually one of the partial owner of Higher Yields, and I also am a real estate broker, and I am a general contractor.
Okay. All right. Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
It's John Valdez, 13135 West Florida Place, Lakewood, Colorado. This is more of my primary residences.
Thank you. George, you had a question?
Thanks. I just wanted to check if, before closing the public hearing, we wanted to see if any planning board members wanted to ask questions while the EDC is still here. I had a couple of questions. I didn't know if we wanted to do that first, just checking.
Yeah, Councilor Dolan, are you happy staying around till the sort of question and answer period's over?
Absolutely, we're here until we vote to adjourn. If folks find it valuable, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. I had one question for Emily, and I'm sorry if I missed this, but I know you were part of the request was to remove the cap on the square footage, and I didn't catch what the square footage was of the proposed facility.
So the cap, as it stands right now, the tier 1 allows up to 5,000 square feet of canopy space. And we're asking to remove the cap so that we can pursue a tier 11, which allows up to 100,000 square feet. And it doesn't have to be 100,000 square feet this way. It doesn't have to be massively long. It can be a shortened facility and then operating through tiers so that we can leverage the foundation we have, not make this a huge, crazy big complex, stay energy efficient within the boundaries of the greenhouse, and then operate with tiers that add up to 100,000 square feet.
So is that basically like racking systems so you can lift the plant material up and down?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. And that allows us to, again, keep our costs low as we produce and manufacture the cannabis to sell flower or a tincture or a lotion and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I had a question, Margot, just on the last or fifth arrow on the handout about page 2. I couldn't locate exactly where that was. If you could direct me to the section of the ordinance.
Okay. That requires me having two two documents open. Okay, which one did you have a question on?
The last arrow on page 2. I located everything else.
10-foot landscape buffer. Last arrow on page 2. I hope Mary's still on here.
Oh, I do see that now, and that's so I'm seeing that's not proposed new language, if I'm reading that correctly, Eric.
Is that in the table? The big table with all the different? I'm trying to find the language.
I'm looking at what's underlined on the draft. I think the underlined is the new language. So we're talking about section D1 C, it looks like.
Yeah. Let me try to get Mary to tell me, because I don't see it either.
Well, I see where the language is, but it doesn't look like, it looks like that's established zoning language, not proposed language. That's all I'm.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
You guys, I think, but what's happening here is that it's right now it reads 10-foot landscape buffer strip, including shade trees. And the recommendation is to add from the large trees 40 to 80 category list of approved trees.
Correct. Yep. That's right.
And that's something that is
Thank you, Mark.
totally new. It's not part of what had been recommended. Thank you. It helps to clear it up.
Just defines a shade tree more carefully.
Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Hey, anyone else with any more questions or comments?
Can I jump in with one for Emily?
Sure.
Just curious, we're all learning a lot about this exciting new industry in our state. And I was just curious, in terms of FTE employment, do you have a sense of how many jobs this facility is gonna bring to town? And what are the general wages in this industry? I just have no idea.
Mm-hmm. It's actually one of the industries that provides the opportunity to provide way more in wages than minimum, which is what I really like about it. It provides meaningful opportunities as well for people who may be in what's called a social equity area, which is lower income or individuals who've been disproportionately impacted by prior cannabis laws. And so it provides a lot of opportunities in that way. So to answer your first question, if we can build the facility in the way that we want and handle more plants and things like that, then we can have probably around, and John, I could be mistaken, but generally around 35 employees. And that's ranging from, because this is a high risk industry, generally speaking. So you're talking everything from security personnel all the way down to your floor agents who are trimming trimming the cannabis plants, and the ones who are packaging it, and the ones who have to label it and then sell it. So there's so many different roles, and it requires obviously a lot of training. And we understand that there's going to be a lot of people who would be applying that may not have previous experience, but we're willing to train them. We just want people who are willing to join in and become part of the industry. So we're excited about that as an opportunity to provide meaningful employment to community members. And again, like I also mentioned, providing an opportunity for individuals who may have been harmed by prior cannabis laws throughout the country. That's what I'm really big on in this industry. And I hope that we can also provide that here. And as far as wages, what we generally like to do is look at this federal minimum wage, the state minimum wage, and go way above that. So generally speaking, for hourly wages, and I can pull up some charts. I was actually working on that with a client in Virginia right now. And generally speaking, it can start at, if you're just training someone, maybe $13 an hour to $25 an hour. John, do you have an idea of what kind of wage ranges we would build here? And I can pull up my notes. I have this written out for what we would propose here in Greenfield.
Yeah. So 35 employees is probably going to be the lowest number that we'd have on a full capacity. What I'm looking at is probably closer to 45 employees. That's including the bud tenders, the people working in the extraction lab, and also the trimmers and the gardeners. So you're probably around that 40, 45 people. You are also looking at, when we start the construction side of it, we use local people. Local contractors. We don't bring people in except for myself and maybe two other, like a project manager and somebody that knows how to build one of these facilities. But we also use local people for the electricians, plumbers, mechanical. We always want to be with the local people and bring the community together like that. You're probably looking at somebody that's working in our facility being $15 and $35 an hour. Is their hourly, depending on their position. Obviously, the management will make more. Management can make upwards of $1,000 a year, depending on what the facility is pulling in. And then we also have the marketing department and everything else that goes with the company. So it's not just the touching the plants. You have the whole back. So we have accountants, we have the CPAs in place. We have the marketing and branding team that would be in your area, and the packaging and all that good stuff too.
Yeah, and what we found back in the beginning of the industry, it was consider that if you were just coming in as a low wage bud tender or, a dispensary floor agent, you would be making the standard minimum wage, whether that was $7 or $9. And what we always push our clients to do, and what we always do ourselves in other states, is look at that and at least double it. So there was, we were working with clients in another state on their project, and we looked at the state standard. I think it was $7, and over the course of 5 years, the state was requiring a $1 increase. And what we did was we more than doubled it and then added that $1 every year on top of it. So we were able to bring in people who were eager to make more money so that they could do more good as far as being in this industry and make an impact. And it allows us to vet high quality employees too. So we really do want to make an impact in that way as well.
And what we also like is that we teach people this trade. I mean, it's something that they can take to different avenues, and it's not. I mean, it is a trade. It's like an electrician or plumber or something like that. You learn the industry, and you can go further and further in. It's not like you're just stuck at being a bud tender. You can move up the ladder and the pay scale also.
So would you also draw on local resources for some of your higher paid jobs, like the marketing consultants and the accountants and folks like that? Or
we would work somebody that is qualified to do the cannabis, the 280 tax structure, and we're starting to get more people that are in this profession. I mean, it is a new industry for you. So we have been working with people to teach them the directions to go. I mean, we put together hundreds of facilities, so we know how to structure these, and we've the direction to go to make it profitable for them. Like you said, the accountants, the marketing departments, the the printers and people like that.
And what we also like to do is work with local career services offices or career placement companies, things like that, so that they kind of have their thumb on the pulse of what people are looking for and qualified individuals who are looking for positions like this. And some of them even have a focus on diversity and allowing us to see if there's a pool of applicants we can pull that are diverse, and we can add to that to reflect the diversity of opinion, the creativity of thought, so that it's not all kind of one type of person in our facility. That's how we operate across the country. It's been very successful, and we would like to implement that here, starting from local residents who are interested in working.
And we also do the community engagement. We bring something to the community. We like to do events for the community and bring people together, educate people on. It is a new industry, so we're trying to educate people on what the benefits of the plant is, and the medical benefits, the benefits that it has on all aspects. So just community engagement for us also.
I guess one other positive aspect is that that pneumatic structure kind of has to be at the end of its lifespan. I would think it's pushing 20, isn't it?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, or for I guess for Jeffrey or John or Emily. I mean the applicants. Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the dome itself, correct?
Yeah.
No, that dome is actually just 4 or 5 years old. I had to replace the old one.
You replaced it. Okay.
Yes, one of the winter storms took the old one down, and it didn't survive, so it's been replaced.
Okay.
But
there's also other
it still has a limited lifespan as as a dome.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from either the public or for the public? Okay.
I will, at this point, I think, close the public hearing for EDC. So that's at 7:50 p.m. And if there are no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Hirschfeld, motion to adjourn.
Okay, Hirschfeld, can I consider that a second, Councilor Elmer?
Yes.
Okay. And we can take a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm planning to stay and listen to the planning board deliberation. If anybody else chooses to do so, just remember open meeting law. If more than 2 of us are here, we can't talk to each other. So mum's the word. But I'm curious what the rest of the conversation will be.
Okay. Well, thank you, counselors. And yeah, you're all welcome to as many to stick around and listen in. So Eric, just as a point of order, would we close the public hearing before we deliberate, or can we just deliberate within the parentheses of the public hearing?
You would close the public hearing first.
Okay. Does anybody? I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this point, George.
Well, a point of clarification, because on the agenda, if I have the latest version, it doesn't reference that we'd have deliberation tonight. Unless I...
For what it's worth, I was questioning the exact same thing.
All right. Well, so it sounds like we would,
chime in.
Yes, I think you would still be able to actually deliberate, even though the agenda doesn't say deliberate.
well, is there a preference on the board to deliberate this evening or wait until our next meeting? I mean, the next meeting is a full agenda, and then we're bringing up subdivision LID regulations in our second December meeting. So if we don't move on this tonight, we're going to be putting it off either till the middle of January, till the middle of December, our second meeting, or possibly further. George?
Well, I can just speak for myself, but I prepare differently for a public hearing as compared with a public hearing plus deliberation. So I had prepared according to the agenda. Forgive me if I should have been quicker on my feet, but that was my understanding. Is tonight was a public hearing, and then the deliberation will be scheduled. I'm not sure about the. I haven't seen the agenda for the third. I don't know how long the deliberation on these would take, but I just like to always be fully prepared for deliberation. Speaking only for myself.
So Eric, on the third, we have the site plan review for 347 Wells Street, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chairman. In addition to that, you have a ZBA recommendation for 14 Hope Street, the Recorder Building.
Okay. Well, does it make sense to close the public hearing at this point, and then we can deliberate our deliberations, and then decide what we're going to do?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Public hearing is closed. Thank you. So I'm going to stop recording. Is that right, Eric? I can stop recording?
I keep recording the whole meeting.
Okay. Okay. All right. So getting back to the question of whether or not we deliberate and vote this evening, what are the opinions of the other board members?
Carl, did you say that we have some LID on the next meeting?
Well, no, on the second meeting in December, we're going to be considering the subdivision LID guidelines.
Oh, right, there are two. Okay.
Right, and that's not something that has to get forwarded along to the city council. That's something that we will discuss and then vote on, and then it would become initiated into the ordinance at that point, because it's a subdivision and we're able to do that. Subdivision bylaw.
I'm kind of inclined to bang it out because we're all here and it's only been an hour. But I also respect George's statement about wanting to be more prepared. It's always good to be fully prepared, but I feel like we got some good information from our speakers and should probably deliberate. Curious what others think.
Mark, what's your opinion?
So I'm on the spectrum right between Jamie and George. It's not that I'm unwilling to do this, but frankly, if we are subject to open meeting law, I don't see how we can post a public hearing and then engage in deliberation. From my experience, those are two very different things, and I don't really want to put a bunch of time into violating open meeting law. So if Eric's saying it's legal, then I guess we could go ahead and do it. But frankly, I'm not fully convinced that it is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it sits in the gray area, to be honest. It's not 100% either way.
All right. Well, I didn't catch it. I just assumed that these items were on the agenda, and then we would deliberate and vote this evening if we felt so inclined. But if it's a gray area and two of the board members are expressing just sort of concerns about it, I'm inclined to schedule the deliberation for, and I don't think this is necessarily going to be a long, drawn out deliberation. I would think about scheduling them for our next meeting, the site plan review and the ZBA recommendations. I'm getting a thumbs up from George.
Yep.
And Jamie. Mark's nodding his head. Okay. And Jim, you're on mute, but I'm assuming that you'll go along with it. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we've closed our public hearing. We've decided to. We don't have to vote on that, do we, Eric? That's just something we've.
No.
Okay. George.
And I'll just offer thank you for that discussion. And I certainly don't want to unnecessarily delay, but I do want to always do my due diligence, and that involves preparation for a deliberation process. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, George. Well, that's all that's on the agenda then. So I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn unless anybody else has any further comments. Oh, we do have any board and staff reports or no action items.
Well, just clarification about, it sounds like the other Emily was approved or went through the
Yeah.
city council, so would need to get sworn in before serving, or what?
Right.
Know
Yes.
when that would take effect? Do you know, Eric?
Yeah, no, that should be more up to speed on that. I know they appointed her. She has to be sworn in, and there's a 35-day period, but I don't know when that starts.
Okay.
Thanks.
Was that for a full voting member or alternate?
Yeah, she's going to be a full voting member.
Okay.
Yeah, you got leapfrog, Mark.
After our prior conversation at our last meeting, I had been in touch with Roxanne, and the horse was out of the barn, and it's all fine. It's all good in the hood.
Nice.
All right. We're rooting for you.
You're good. You're a good sport, Mark. Thank you.
An honor to serve in any capacity, folks.
Thank you. I want the update.
Okay.
Thanks.
So if everybody's is set on the coming agenda for the 3rd and the 17th.
And just,
George?
I will just offer a reminder that on the 3rd, we will start at 6 p.m. and the 17th, we will again start at 7 p.m. And thank you for the board's accommodation of that.
Okay. And after that, we'll be on the regular 6 o'clock schedule. Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, you're doing a lot for the community, George. Thank you.
Thanks.
So just to confirm, on the 3rd, it's at 6. On the 17th, it's at 7.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
With that, I move to adjourn.
I will second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, no nays. Okay, good. We're adjourned.